Hello, good evening, and many thanks indeed for joining us here on Daily Report. It is 9 p.m. on the dot, and I'm glad that you're joining us this evening and you had a good day. Today, of course, we are focusing on the other side when we'll be speaking to our legislators on the inside on the Graft Republic in light of the recent survey by the EACC. And we shall be drilling deeper, looking at the Hustler Fund, also which is drawing a lot of criticism, and the e-citizen as well, and the recent publication of the bill, which is now an act, I should say, of a conflict of interest, which is seeking to stanch the flow of corruption in the country. For now, let's start off with the highlights.
Tonight, amid rising political activity, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) says it will seek legal guidance from Attorney General Dorcas Oduor on what constitutes early campaigning as the country prepares for the 2027 general election. Also tonight, President William Ruto pushes back against critics of the Hustler Fund, insisting that the initiative has had transformative impact on millions of Kenyans.
We will not be distracted. Those who, when facts do not serve their agenda, resort to fabricating narratives to prop up their falsehood.
Plus, civil society group Vocal Africa is calling for the disbandment of the National Police Service, citing a damning EACC report that ranked the force as the most corrupt institution in the country.
Welcome to the broadcast, and flying with me on the sign language desk is Catherine Simeloy. Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission now says it will seek legal guidance from Attorney General Dorcas Oduor to better understand what qualifies as early campaigning in the lead up to the 2027 general election. Meanwhile, the Commission's chairperson, Erastus Ethekon, says they will officially announce the dates by several upcoming by-elections next week. The Commission also plans to address the critical electoral matters in the coming days. Elizabeth Mutuku starts us off.
With heightened political activities in the country, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) now says that it will consult Attorney General Dorcas Oduor for legal clarity on what constitutes early campaigning ahead of the 2027 general election.
But we'll be meeting with the Attorney General's Office, Department of Justice and Legal Affairs to discuss this matter of early campaigning, so that then we seek clarity on what amounts to early campaigning, what are the parameters within which we should set.
In a meeting with various stakeholders, including those from media sector, the Commission's chairperson, Erastus Ethekon, noted that the Commission is increasingly concerned by the growing political activity and intends to establish clear campaign timelines to promote fairness and order in the electoral process. This is as he assured Kenyans that IEBC will fully comply with the law in its efforts to ensure the next elections are free and fair, Ethekon dismissing recent remarks by some politicians suggesting the election's integrity could be compromised in favor of particular candidates.
And if there are any challenges that any candidates have, or including the stealing of the votes, we also have recourse to our courts who counter-check and verify and give us their verdicts. So going forward 2027, I personally don't think there'll be stealing of votes.
The chairperson has also clarified that the 2027 general election will proceed as scheduled unless it runs into legal headwinds amid concerns the Commission might be overwhelmed by the workload on its tray.
There are some things that were outside our control for all of us. The electoral constitution of the IEBC. But that having been done, we are working around the clock to ensure that we meet the timelines to execute all these activities. So,
the commission also took the opportunity to respond to some politicians who have raised concerns about the delay in announcing official by-election dates, alleging hidden motives. The commission saying it will reveal the dates next week. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
Tonight, President William Ruto has defended Kenya's dalliance with China in the wake of threats by U.S. Republican Senator James Risch to strip the country its prestigious status as a major non-NATO ally for human rights violations, among other contentious implications. President Ruto, who spoke during a presidential private sector roundtable, said Kenya's decision to look east was motivated purely by trade, which he said it is in Kenya's best interest. Apollo Kamau has more.
President William Ruto stuck to his guns on his dalliance with China in Kenya's Look East policy, anchored on trade, in what the president defended as Kenya's best interest, in the wake of a push by Idaho Senator James Risch to strip Kenya of the prestigious major non-NATO ally status for its closeness with China and human rights violations.
It's partly why I have a bit of a problem with some of our friends, but it is what I must do for Kenya. You know, it's in the best interest of Kenya that we get into this market. Some of our friends are complaining that we are doing too much trade with China. Honestly, I mean...
President Ruto putting up a strong defense during a presidential private sector roundtable on why Kenya is doing business with China while looking for markets in Canada and Turkey.
They have agreed to a reciprocal arrangement between Kenya and China. They have agreed to remove all the tariffs on our tea, on our coffee, on our avocado, and all other agricultural exports. That, I think, is a major breakthrough for us.
Despite the Kenya-US tensions on the non-NATO ally status granted by former President Joe Biden in June last year, cementing Kenya as a key partner of the US in Africa, President Ruto maintains all is well between Kenya and the Trump administration.
Forget about the headlines. The headlines serve other purposes for other reasons. But our engagement with the United States is a robust engagement that we have.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, while welcoming the amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act to strip Kenya of her status, rallied Kenyans in the U.S. to lobby U.S. senators to approve the amendment.
The people of Kenya living here and working here in the United States to take time to lobby their senators and their congressmen so that they can know exactly what is happening in Kenya, so that when this particular motion comes up for discussion, there is support from the senators here in the United States, because Kenyans here are quite informed as to what is going on back home, and they can get evidence from home on the issues of extrajudicial killings.
Human rights groups also want Kenya stripped of the status and removed from the United Nations Human Rights Council for gross human rights abuses. Apul Kamau, TV47.
A group of human rights activists is now calling for the disbandment of the National Police Service following damning findings in the latest EACC corruption report. The report ranks police among the most corrupt institutions in the country. As Samira Mohammed now reports, pressure groups are accusing the police not only of widespread corruption but also of fueling violence and brutality against ordinary citizens.
Following damning revelation in the latest EACC Corruption Index, which ranks the National Police Service among the most corrupt institutions in the country.
The police have perennially been on top of that list for several years. And it is the one institution that we believe has refused to reform.
A section of rights groups and activists are now calling for the immediate disbandment of the National Police Service. The rights groups accuse the police not only of systematic corruption, but also of perpetuating violence and brutality against citizens.
Yesterday's EACC report confirms that they are stealing from us too, at a scale unmatched by any other institution in this country. We say with absolute clarity and conviction, you cannot kill us and steal from us too. We refuse to live under a state-sponsored criminal enterprise.
Expressing deep concerns over what they described as a culture of impunity and systematic graft in police service, the lobby groups proposed a restructuring of the law enforcement, including the devolution of police service to regional governments. They recommended that regional commissioners be empowered to recruit, oversee and discipline police officers under national standards and public oversight.
A complete overhaul. This Kenya Police Service as is presently is irredeemable. That is what we are saying. Just the way Kenya threw away the old constitution and brought in a new constitution, that is what we need to see with this police service.
If the police remain as they are, Kenya will never be free. Let us be clear. This is not just about corruption. It is not just about a few bad apples. It is about a state that has weaponized its police force against its own citizens.
The civil society groups also want recruitment standards revised, suggesting the minimum academic entry requirement be raised to a grade C plane and increase the number of female officers in the service.
Pia kwa polisi wakipea nafasi male gender, wapea pia female gender, kwa sababu we are capable. We are here to serve. Kila mtu anafaa kupatiwa nafasi na gender inclusion pia izingatiwe kwa sana.
Samira Mohammed for TV47, Nairobi.
The families of protesters arrested during the recent demonstrations in Kenya say they are buckling under the weight of harsh bail terms. They say the amounts set by the courts are simply out of reach, and they now find themselves turning to well-wishers for help to free their loved ones. As Sheila Chelangat now reports, many describe the emotional and financial toll as overwhelming, with no clear path forward.
For Stella Amanya, the past month has been a relentless trial. Having been unable to raise bail for her husband was detained on the day of the Sabasaba protest in Thika town, and with a newborn baby to care for, the burden feels overwhelming.
Uchungu tu juu sasa sisi tulikuwa tunataka tu arudi juu anatusaidia, ndiye alikuwa anatusaidia peke yake.
At first, the bail had been set for 100,000 Kenyan shillings before being reduced down to 30,000 Kenyan shillings. But even that is still unattainable for her.
Sasa familia yake hawajiwezi. Hiyo 30k bado ni mingi tu. Sasa ndio nimekaa mpaka saa hii kama nikuje huku kwa sister yangu, at least nikaekae kidogo, siku hiyo pesa itapatikana wamtoe alafu nirudi.
Like Stella, Winnie Nailante faces a similar ordeal. Her younger brother has now spent nearly a month in remand.
The judge came up with that amount, honestly. It was just absurd. It's just a lot. I mean, a lot. For families, it's a lot, especially the mothers were truly crying. In fact, others were fainting. For me, I was just trying to be strong.
And with the hefty bail terms, activists argue that it is part of an effort by authorities to criminalize dissent.
They would have been given something like, let's say, community service, something to just teach them that, yes, you are protesting or you are caught up in this whole mess, but not criminalizing them.
Both Stella and Winnie say the emotional toll is just as crushing as the financial strain.
Kitoka twende kwa nyumba, hata ajui tutaanzia wapi, juu hakuna kitu huko. Na bado tunafaa tulipe rent, sasa saa hii miezi 2 sasa.
As these families continue their anxious wait, they say they remain in limbo, caught between the pursuit of justice and the weighty cost of freedom. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
The Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Kenya, is mourning the death of MTK, the courageous survivor whose sexual assault and that particular case shocked the nation early this year. She was attacked on the 31st of January 2025 while undergoing dialysis at Pandey Hospital. MTK succumbed to her injuries on Saturday. That is the 2nd of August, while the case against her alleged assailant remains ongoing. FIDA, in a statement to newsrooms, says, and I quote, FIDA Kenya extends its deepest condolences to her family, loved ones, and all who knew her. MTK was not only a survivor, but a courageous champion who, despite unimaginable suffering, took the bold step to seek justice, not just for herself, but for countless others, that is vulnerable patients whose dignity and rights must be safeguarded. FIDA Kenya was serving as MTK's legal representative in her active case seeking justice against a Mombasa-based Dr. Dias Juma Wabwire, the main suspect in her rape case. Dias Juma Wabwire was arraigned at the Mombasa High Court on February, where he was charged with 1 count of rape, which he denied. Now, just hours after the Kericho County Assembly introduced a new motion to impeach him over allegations of gross misconduct and a controversial 80 million shillings procurement deal, Governor Dr. Eric Mutai has come out fighting, calling for the complete dissolution of the county government. As Paul Kirobi reports, this isn't the first time the governor is facing pressure from members of the county assembly. The latest motion, tabled by Sigowet MCA Kiprotich Rogoni, has reopened a political battle that, once again, is threatening Mutai's position.
Just hours after the Kericho County Assembly tabled a motion seeking his impeachment over allegations of gross misconduct and 80 million shillings procurement scandal, Governor Dr. Eric Mutai hit back with a bold countermeasure, calling for the immediate dissolution of the county government.
Kick off the process of collecting signatures to dissolve Kericho County. And we respectfully ask the President that by next week, when we will be presenting for him the documents, to gracefully accept the people's of Kericho's decision, to the wills of Kericho, to dissolve the county, and we all go back to seek fresh mandate from the people of Kericho.
Speaking during a press briefing at the county headquarters, Governor Mutai accused members of the County Assembly MCS of deliberately undermining his administration.
Because when you say to the governor that so-and-so did this and this, the governor is not the accounting officer. And we know how those reports were worked over throughout the night, how money was changing hands, how even reports committees in the assembly were being asked to change reports.
He claimed the impeachment bid is politically motivated and aimed at derailing service delivery to the people of Kericho. Meanwhile, efforts to remove the governor from office have regained momentum, with MCS initiating a second attempt to impeach the county boss. Early on Wednesday, a notice of motion to impeach the governor was officially introduced by MCA Kiprotich Rogoni, citing allegations including gross violation of the Constitution, abuse of office and gross misconduct. The motion, supported by documented evidence and a list of signatures from MCS backing the initiative, was submitted to the County Assembly clerk. The clerk confirmed that the motion meets the criteria under Standing Order number 70 and has since forwarded it to the Assembly Business Committee for scheduling. This marks the second impeachment attempt against Governor Mutai. The first motion was rejected by the Senate on procedural grounds after passing through the County Assembly. If the current motion secures the required majority within the County Assembly, it will be escalated to the Senate for further deliberation. Governor Mutai will be granted an opportunity to defend himself before both the County Assembly and the Senate before any final decision is made. Paul Kirobi, TV47.
Former Deputy President and Democratic Congress Party leader Rigathi Gachagua is ramping up his political campaigns while on tour in the United States. He hasn't held back in criticizing President William Ruto's government, calling it disconnected from the struggles of the everyday Kenyans. Speaking to Kenyans living abroad, Gachagua defended himself against accusations of tribalism and insisted he remains a favorite of the people. He also called for independent investigations into recent cases of police killings, further sharpening his message against the current administration.
Gachagua has vehemently denied accusations of tribalism, calling them politically motivated propaganda, insisting that Kenyans from diverse ethnic backgrounds support him.
William Ruto has nothing against me, and the only remaining strategy is to label me a tribalist, to try to demean me before the people of Kenya. Fortunately, it's only William Ruto, his sycophants, and bloggers paid by government who call me a tribalist. I'm the darling of the Kenyan people.
Gachagua also condemned the killing of Gen Z protesters and the excessive use of force by police, while also faulting the criminal justice system, saying that it has been compromised.
William Ruto deceived all of us, and we believed him, that he will never use the criminal justice system to deal with those opposed to him. That is exactly what is happening today.
He has warned that Kenya risks losing its status as a key U.S. ally due to alleged links with extremist groups such as Sudan's RFS, calling for detailed investigations into what he terms as extrajudicial killings orchestrated by the government.
And I want to appeal to the people of Kenya living here and working here in the United States to take time to lobby their senators and their congressmen so that they can know exactly what is happening in Kenya, so that when this particular motion comes up for discussion, there is support from the senators here in the United States.
Back home, his supporters called a meeting Wednesday at the DCP party headquarters, aimed at strengthening youth participation and promoting party unity.
So we want to tell Morathe and the Jubilee fraternity, we are not part of that Raila scheme. Yes. Raila Odinga and William Ruto are one-term candidates. Yes. Na sisi tuwapeleka nyumbani, we want a fresh beginning for Kenya.
Mimi sijakuwa na chama ambayo, sijaenda kwa chama ambayo haijakuwa kwa serikali. Hata hii itakuwa kwa serikali.
Over 100 youth leaders from more than 30 counties gathered, with party officials urging them to run for leadership positions and take up responsibilities actively, promising that their efforts will eventually bear fruit.
Usiende kuogopa ati huwezi chukua chairman, ama huwezi chukua hii chairperson tena basi mchukue youth league.
This meeting marks a strategic step by the party to mobilize youth engagement and reinforce unity as the country gears up for the upcoming by-elections and the 2027 general election. Mike Kagwango, TV47.
The youth across the country are being urged to get involved in forums that promote peace, development, and economic growth, rather than allowing themselves to be used by certain politicians to fuel violence during protest. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki met the appeal while addressing students at Pwani University in Kilifi County during the International Youth Conference Week. He assured the young people that the government is ready to listen to their grievances and engage in dialogue that can lead to lasting solutions. Josh Onsari has more.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has cautioned the youth against being used by politicians to cause chaos through protests.
The youth of Kenya don't allow people who have had their time, people who had had opportunity, they had a career, they did all they wanted to do, and in their dying years, they want to incite you to destroy the country and leave you with a broken country.
Speaking during a youth forum held at Pwani University in Malindi, Kilifi County, the Deputy President emphasized the government's commitment to involving young people in decision-making, especially in matters politics and governance.
We will start having those conversations on the hard issues of accountability, hard issues on the fight against graft and stealing of public funds, the hard issues about how those in authority treat citizens.
Kindiki was accompanied by Cabinet Secretary for Education Julius Ogamba and Sports and Youth Affairs CS Salim Vuria, who echoed the importance of youth in national development, particularly in education and economic growth.
The youth are not a crisis. You know, we have over 15 million youth in our country. The youth are a source of innovation, progression, and creativity.
Also introduce something called modularization in TVETs, where you can go into a TVET institution, take 3 months, study a course, go out and work, come back and continue as and when you are able to. You can walk in and walk out so that you can get skills for you to be able to contribute to the economy. So that musiname sana, sindio?
The International Youth Conference Week is set to conclude in Kakamega County, where young people are expected to engage in discussions on their role in promoting peace and contributing to the country's stability. Joash Onsare, TV47.
President William Ruto has defended the Hustler Fund against recommendations by the Kenya Human Rights Commission to have it scrapped. He hailed the fund as a key driver of financial inclusion, insisting that it cannot be dissolved as it has financially empowered micro, small and medium enterprises across the country. Mudhoni Brenda with the details.
The heated debate on the Hustler Fund has got to the head of state, forcing him to defend his brainchild against a damning report by the Kenya Human Rights Commission that declared the fund as a grand political ploy disguised as economic empowerment.
There are Kenyans who today have a mechanism for them to borrow money.
Speaking during the presidential roundtable with the private sector in Nairobi, Ruto disputed the findings which reported that the Hustler Fund has a 68.3% default rate, insisting that the default rate stands at 20.3%.
That is a deliberate distortion of facts. The truth, backed by data, is that the Hustler Fund has a recovery rate of 83.3%.
The head of state has also refuted the findings which show that the Hustler Fund's loan limit is too small to start up a business, explaining that the researchers did not interview those who view 1,000 Kenya shillings as enough capital to initiate a business startup.
Micro loan of 1,000 seems too small to matter to anybody. But that is only because they have never walked in the shoes of those who were left at the margins of our society for far too long.
Ruto has revealed that the 26 million Kenyans who have benefited from the fund have so far saved 5 billion with the Hustler Fund, insisting that this is enough proof that the fund is delivering results.
There are people who would have wanted to save 20, 30, 40, 50 shillings a day. They did not have a mechanism on where to save without going into a place where their money could be lost.
President Ruto also took a swipe at the commission, criticizing the organization for releasing reports that focus heavily on the plight of low-income Kenyans, while doing so from the comfort of expensive hotels in Nairobi.
People who talk from Nairobi, they talk to us from posh hotels. You know, they have money from this NGO and that NGO and the other one.
As debate around the Hustler Fund intensifies, attention now turns to the government on whether it will scrap the fund altogether or redefine its purpose. Mudhoni Brenda for TV47.
Now, for years, the rugged landscape of Baringo County has been stained by waves of banditry, gunfire, ripping through the villages, forcing families to flee and leaving communities in shock. But behind the headlines and body counts lies a quiet, deeper wound borne by women. Their mothers, widows, survivors, scarred by loss, marked by fear, and tasked with rebuilding their lives from ashes. Tonight, Linda Alela tells their story, a story of pain, resilience, and the trauma that never really leaves.
Come out and speak out.
These women hold more than just stories of conflict and survival. They carry the silent cries of women who have seen too much, lost too much, and endured more than most can imagine. They live their lives fearing for tomorrow.
Mali yote ilienda, nyumba ilichomwa, nikapoteza hata vitu ya nyumba. Nilikuwa nashona, charani naye na nguo pia zikaenda. Lakini bado nikang'ang'ana, sijakubali kufa moyo.
Persons displaced by banditry are camping here in Mukutani. This is home after they fled their homes following a series of banditry attacks. When relative peace resumed, they went back to find their homes vandalized, forcing them to begin to rebuild their lives in IDP camps.
Wanaume wanaweza toroka, wamama wanabaki na watoto, na mara mingi ni wamama ndio wanaumia.
Mary Lekereu from Mukutani narrates to us her predicaments, including how she watched her husband fall to the ground shot right before her. I ran into the bush with my children, barefoot, bleeding and unsure if we'd live to see the next day, she says. Irene Chebet is another survivor of banditry. She was living in Debarl area before they fled to Muchongoi after bandits raided their home, leaving families in the areas of Kasiela and Sinoni devastated.
I still remember the scenario where the kids were shot during the attack. After sasa mbuzi walichukua, wamesha choma manyumba. Then during that day waliwa, I think watoto watatu na wakachukua mbuzi mingi sana.
Acknowledging their pain and the need for healing, Mary and Irene are amongst other women who have opted to attend a trauma healing and empowerment forum by Action Aid Kenya and the International Center for Peace, Human Rights and Development in Africa.
Their husbands died through the conflict in the region, and so those are the major women who are really suffering, having trauma issues that we are trying to capacity build, the training of trainers who will be able to meet these women in the communities.
The gathering held in Marigat town targeted survivors from some of the most volatile areas like Saimo Soy, Debarl and Mukutani. Rulia says that approximately 480 women in Baringo have been widowed due to armed conflict. The workshop is a turning point for many. Through counseling, trauma management training, storytelling and peer support, the women began the long journey towards healing.
Our approach is engaging young women as champions to address conflict-related trauma within their communities.
Even as the government continues its disarmament operations and security deployments in the region, experts argue that psychological healing must go hand in hand with physical security. In the meantime, the women of Baringo continue to rise and slowly they are reclaiming their lives. For TV47, I'm Linda Alela.
Linda Alela there. We want to take a short break, but before we do that, fresh off the press is the Star publication, and this is what is headlining the front page of the Star this evening. Revealed Orengo in US for medical treatment is what is on the front page of the Star, and this is tomorrow's publication. Deputy calls for truce as speculation swirls over governor's whereabouts, and that is well fleshed out for you on page 6 of the Star, tomorrow's publication. And looking at the teaser on top there, crime scene, 2 PSs summoned after audit exposes multi-billion shilling rot in e-citizen. We shall be looking at that as well as we are trying to delve deeper on the Graft Republic and the cases of corruption as well. We shall be looking at that. This is what is on the front page of the Star. Also, U.S. initiatives, review of Kenya's NATO, that is non-NATO ally status, aside China ties, is another story that you want to follow on page 6 of the Star. That is all about the diplomatic thief, and the report paints grim picture of impact of mental health underfunding. That is the GAO, which is an intern doctor at, well, they'll give you all the gritty details there. That is on page 2 of the Star. And bribes most common form of corruption. That is according to the recent publication on the baseline survey by the EACC. Professionals perceived to be involved in corruption. Police officers are taking the Pyrovis, huge chunk of it, 27.6%, followed by KRA officers, chiefs, county inspector officers, lawyers, county revenue officers, land surveyors, architects, doctors and nurses. You have, of course, the tabulation there, bankers, accountant and auditors 8.4%, engineers 7.1%, economists, teachers, university lecturers and journalists as well. They're caught up in this web of corruption. That story, you can follow it inside page 9 of the Star. And that is the Star. Make sure you grab a copy tomorrow for the gritty details as well. Thank you very much. We'll take a short break. Don't go away, much more on the other side of the break.
Hey kids and families, get ready for the most fun-packed show around, Kids on the Block. Join us for awesome music, magical storytime adventures and super cool arts and crafts. Plus, we pop tasty treats in our cooking corner. Learn, laugh and create with us. Kids on the Block, where every day is a brand new adventure. Don't miss it.
Rise and shine with the ultimate morning power play from Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Join Fred Indemuli.
Time for us to take a look at the headlines this morning
as he takes you straight to the heart of the nation on Morning Cafe. From breaking down political intrigues to unpacking the stories shaping our country, this is where tough questions meet hard truths.
The president says he has cancelled, then they say, Igwe.
Stay ahead, stay informed, and stay connected. It's your go-to morning fix on politics, policy, and the pulse of the nation.
Raila Odinga has put Kenya's interests first for many times.
The State of the Nation with Fred Indemuli, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. only on TV47. Your morning, your nation, your voice.
Business opportunities are like buses. There's always another one coming. Richard Branson.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV47.
Right, welcome back. Let's buckle down to some business. Now, Kenya is turning to the richness of its culinary diversity and the promise of agritourism to reshape its hospitality offering, targeting both domestic and regional travelers. Speaking at the third edition of the Africa Food Show, stakeholders emphasized the interdependence between food travel and lifestyle economies. Through innovative partnerships and digital strategies, they believe Kenya can build sustainable models that put Africa at the center of a global tourism conversation. The Kenya Tourism Board has now launched a new program to market the country's food and culture to the continent.
In the business of promoting Kenya as the destination of choice, with the aim of achieving 5.5 million international arrivals, and also growing our domestic bed nights. What we are focusing heavily on is on Africa, because we believe that Africa will be able to deliver the numbers that we're looking at.
And we're looking at reimagining, because we can't do tourism the same way. So we are reimagining the tourism, travel and hospitality. And we are focusing today on hotel and hospitality. And we're calling the world to Kenya. And we are saying, come and enjoy our cuisine.
Gone around the world a bit, not big time, but Kenya's food is excellent. We just need to create a platform that can create visibility and showcase our talents, showcase our rich culture in food. And this is another innovation that is upcoming that we need to support it.
Now, in a strategic shift to tapping into the growing property market, NCBA Bank is now taking potential buyers on curated tours, blending leisure with real estate investment. From breezy streets of Nyali to the gated heavens of Vipingo, the bank organized an exclusive one-day property tour to connect aspiring homeowners and investors with vetted developments and seasoned real estate professionals. The acting group director of retail banking, that is Dennis Njau, says the initiative aims to remove key barriers to property ownership, including limited information and financing uncertainty.
First, we realize that home ownership is actually one of the single largest investment that one can make. And it's also an emotive and an aspirational journey. So to help our customers through, to ensure that they're able to navigate through this process that sometimes can take long, and you also need some sort of discerning mind to ensure that you're actually investing in the right property in terms of the allocation, in terms of the return on investment.
Serving two types of market. Those that are looking for a holiday home at the coast with all the amenities of Kilifi and the adjacent Vipingo Ridge around it. And at the same time, those who are moving out of Nyali and Bamburi to live a little bit away from work, but with the new infrastructure in a very accessible area.
Now, the Kenya Pipeline Company is making infrastructure part of its social footprint, this time in the classroom. KPC has invested 3 million shillings in the construction of a modern administration block at Kowor Primary School in Homa Bay County, aimed at transforming the learning experience for over 361 pupils and 18 staff. The project, commissioned by KPC Managing Director Joe Sang, seeks to boost administrative efficiency and improve educational outcomes. It's part of KPC Foundation's broader 6-pillar community strategy, reinforcing its commitment to education as a tool for national development.
The new administration block has enough room for all of us. Where we were, we could not even hold a meeting for the whole staff because it was so squeezed. It forced us sometimes to sit under the trees, but today we have a spacious staff room where all of us can fit and we can meet all of us and make decisions that will push this school to the next level.
I want to take this opportunity to most sincerely thank the KPC Foundation for doing us this very great job.
As a foundation, one of the key things is we normally get requests from the communities. When we get requests, we do what we call need assessment. And one of the key things that we saw that this school was having a challenge on the administration block.
President William Ruto has accused players in the private sector of short-circuiting the legislative process by bribing parliamentary committees to pass laws that favor their companies. Speaking during the 5th KEPSA presidential roundtable, Ruto warned that the trend undermines the integrity of policy making and stalls progress. Local manufacturers are now calling on the government to revive ministerial stakeholders forums for direct engagement with regulators.
I must tell you, many of your members bribe committees of parliament.
That's so true.
That's the reality. So, in the process, you should circuit this engagement, and we end up with legislation, policy, taxes that are skewed, that eventually distort everything we are trying to do. So, as an industry, you should get your members to engage with government, with the executive, with the legislature, in the formal channels that we have established.
Why don't we cast our eyes on the sports field to see what is holding for us, which is up next. Now, momentum is building for the Kenyan national football team as Harambee Stars gear up for their next challenge at the African Nations Championship. Fresh from a 1-0 win over DR Congo on Sunday, the team returns to Kasarani tomorrow to face Angola in a highly anticipated group stage clash. The victory has sparked national excitement, with Harambee Stars receiving a surge of support from fans and state officials alike. Head coach Benny McCarthy says the team is focused and ready to maintain the winning form. Meanwhile, DR Congo will face Zambia at Nyayo National Stadium in a parallel fixture, and our sports reporter Boniface Kimanzi has more on this.
On Thursday, at Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, all eyes will be on Kenya national men's team, Harambee Stars, as they play against Angola in what promises to be a thrilling 2024 CHAN showdown.
I'm just hoping that the rise continue. The support and the love for football in this country is crazy. Everywhere on the streets you walk, not just because of CHAN, but even previously.
A game that will determine whether Kenya is a strong title contender or not.
It's a big shout out to the government for this facility. After the renovation, everything looks nice, everything looks good.
Fresh from securing an important 1-0 win against DR Congo on Sunday, Kenya enters match day 2 with a renewed energy and a nationwide pride.
We have to find solutions to contain them, but also exposes them at some point in the game, and that's how Morocco was able to capitalize on them.
A lot of Kenyans have hope with Benny McCarthy's squad. The big question remains, will the team deliver tomorrow or not?
Where didn't go well, we worked on them. Where went well, we worked on how to do it better.
The opener on Sunday was electric. The fans across the 47 counties in Kenya unstoppable. And now the Stars are angrier than ever.
He's very strong, so they've got a lot of very potential, great talents coming through that wants to go abroad. So yeah, this is the perfect time for them to showcase it, so we know what we're going to be up against. But like I said, we like being the underdog because it's just nice to be underestimated, and then we can always surprise everybody on the day of the game. So we know we're going to be up against a team that's really good, irrespective of their first match, the result that they've got, but they're going to come.
Newly molded Benny McCarthy team is chasing the ultimate prize, being the winner of this year's CHAN 2024 title and making history on home soil.
We respect everyone, but we don't fear anyone.
As Angola prepares to challenge, Kenya is ready to conquer. The mood in camp is intense and the support from Kenyans is unshakable.
As long as you keep your 100%, you don't know what's going to happen. So everybody is motivated to be here in this tournament and to play his best.
Boniface Kimanzi for TV47 Sport.
Indeed, everyone is rooting for Harambee Stars tomorrow They're still on a winning tier, and be warned that information really coming to hand as well wants to warn you that police are warning of major snarl-up in Nairobi tomorrow, advising motorists to keep off Thika Road unless heading to Kasarani for Chan. Again, police are warning of major snarl-ups in Nairobi tomorrow, advising motorists to keep off Thika Road unless heading to Kasarani for Chan tomorrow. Right, the Football Kenya Federation and the Kenya Tourism Board under the Magical Kenya brand have joined forces in a strategic 6-month partnership. The deal aims to harness the power of popularity of Kenyan football to promote the country as a premier tourism destination, both locally and internationally. Through this collaboration, the national teams will now carry the Magical Kenya brand, injecting national pride into sports while selling Kenya's tourism charm to the world.
Sports tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors around the world. It is unfortunate that our continent has never been able to tap into sports tourism as other parts of the world or regions have done so over the years, but we are going to change this. When you talk of local tourism, we are talking of teams, both for men and women, who travel from one county to another during our leagues and competitions.
We know that sports tourism is one of the lowest hanging fruits, being a home of champions in all the sports that we participate in is a great honor for Kenya.
It is projected that by the year 2027, football alone will contribute over 1.7 billion US 1.7 trillion US dollars in the global economy, and therefore, as a country, we would not like to be left behind in benefiting from the value that comes with football.
Let's tee off with the young golf star Njoroge Kifugu, representing Windsor Golf Hotel and Country Club, has emerged victorious in the Nyali leg of the Sunshine Development Tour East Africa Swing. After a gritty final round at the Nyali Golf and Country Club in Mombasa, Kifugu scored 1 over par 72 to wrap up the 54-hole tournament at a total of 2 over par 215. He edged out Rwanda's Celestin Sazuera and local hero Daniel Nduva, who both finished 1 shot behind the tournament, which brought together the region's top 30 players from a 70-man field, offered 2 million shillings in prize money and crucial world ranking points. The tour now heads to the South Coast for its next leg at the Diamonds Leisure Beach and Golf Resort.
It feels good to win again for the second time on this tour. In the fashion that I did it, I'm very proud of it. And kudos to Celestine and David for putting up a good fight, and everyone who was in the mix. All in all, I'm just over the moon about it.
Hole 12 was not that hard, but the flag position today was a bit tough. And all players, we wanted to attack it because we were seeing it like it's a birdie hole. And like for me, I overshot, which cost me a double bogey. By hole 12, generally, was not that bad hole. It's easy and short hole. Because I did driver and 56, which was okay.
Feel good, happy with my performance. Today I got off to a good start, started with a birdie on the first hole, got myself going. After 5 holes, I was under par. And then I came to the back nine, I made some 2 good birdies, 11, 13, and 15, which got me back into the lead. But coming down the stretch, I kind of had a silly mistake on 17 that cost me a bogey, which cost me the first place. But all in all, I had a good week and looking forward to Diani.
Team Kenya will this Thursday kick off its maiden appearance at the 2025 World Chukball Beach Championships in Bali, Indonesia, with a crucial opening match against South Korea. This global event, featuring 10 participating countries, marks a significant milestone for Kenya in the fast-rising sport of chukball, Cameroon and Benin will also represent Africa. The Kenyan men's team is pooled in Group A alongside host Indonesia, India, Benin and the Czech Republic, while the ladies' team, dubbed the Brazil Ladies, will begin their campaign against the Czech Republic. The championships run through to August the 10th.
So tomorrow we'll be beginning with Korea. We'll play against India. We'll play against Cameroon and Benin. We may also play against Czech. They have not confirmed whether their girls are coming, but the men are here, so the men will play against Czech Republic as well. Timu yetu imejiandaa vizuri. Tulikuwa na kambi Mombasa, Malindi. Wasichana na wavulana wamejiandaa vizuri, wametrain vilivyo na tunatarajia ushindi mkubwa upande wetu, tupeleke kikombe huko Kenya.
All right, that's does it for the sports. That's how the cookie crumbles, as they say, and we wish Harambee Stars all the best tomorrow. We want to take a short break, but before we do that, I just wanted to show the faces that, of course, they are on the bench right now. We're holding court with British Elachi. Also, we have with us Dr. James Jikal and Bernard Kitur. We shall be looking deeply, and of course, the currents of the days regarding the president's remarks of the Hustler fans, the e-citizen, and the corruption where it is getting rampant. How can we start this flow of corruption in the country as well, and a raft of other issues as well, as far as the lay of the land is concerned, the political tone and tenor of the country is concerned. We'll take a short break right now. When we circle back, we continue with the insight.